So this video is going to show you how to take your still a single image and animate that. Or if you also, if you were somebody that was choosing to make an animation out of several images, we'll do that as well. So the first thing that I did was I went to File, New, and I went with my Instagram format again. I want to keep that consistent in the same format as my animated type layer. And then I'm going to create. So I've got my empty project here. Now I already have a JPEG version of my portrait that I had saved. So if I go to File, Open, in my Downloads folder, here is my sketched portrait that is a JPEG. If you need to flatten all your layers and get it into one, make a version of that first. So I'm going to take my background layer and I'm just going to click and drag and then touch it to the new project tab, and it should copy itself in there. One thing we're going to find is that our small animations are really, really small compared to the giant pictures that we were working on earlier. So we're going to have to take this layer and transform it, or free transform it. So I'm going to edit, free transform, and I see my bounding box. Now, obviously the bounding box is really off the screen here, so I can hit Control minus a couple of times just to see like the entirety of the image, and that will help me resize this. Now, the key to resizing is holding your shift key and just moving the corner arrows. Don't worry if it goes off the page, because you can always click into the center and continue to resize and push it, into the middle as needed. So some of it will crop, that's fine. I'm working with a square format and I had a rectangle. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space up here. Remember, just move the corner arrows and hold your shift key. If you start moving the top, the bottom, or the sides, you are going to squish and distort, and that is not what we want to do. So I'm just going to fix that. We do not want to distort our pictures. When you're happy with the size and the placement, click the Enter button, and your bounding box is going to go away. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few copies of this. So I can do that by bringing it to the new layer button, or I can always right click and you've got a duplicate function here. And I'm just setting it up the way I set up my original example for you. And I've got all of these copies. Now, the one thing that I did was I actually started working on the blending modes. So I'm going to leave my original layer alone and just keep it with the normal blending mode. And now I'm going to change the blending mode for each layer that I have here. Now, it might be hard to see until I start actually changing the top blending mode, because the thing about blending modes is that they are going to affect everything underneath. So maybe we need to start from the top and go down to see these changes. Yeah, definitely. And then if I want to hide that just temporarily, I can go down here and pick another blending mode that I think looks interesting. They're all going to do different things. Some of them you're going to find work great. Some of them maybe not so great, but it's all based on the colors, right? Like subtract is not working for this at all. It's all based on the colors and the tones that you already have in your image. Oh, that's pretty cool. So let me hide that one. And now I go to the next one and choose a different blending mode. These have a lot of contrast. No, I think I like that other one better. Hide that one temporarily. And then I already have this one set at linear light, and then my bottom one is set to normal. So now I can just turn all these back on. Now, one thing I need to go do is I need to add the coding that's going to animate those when we export as a GIF. That's really important. So that's going to be holding my shift key down to get that underscore, then lowercase a, hold shift to get the underscore, and I've set that to animate. And I'm going to do that to all my layers. Of course, if you do this before you start duplicating your layers, then you won't have to go through 5 separate layers of typing. So try to think ahead on that. Oops, not capital A, lowercase a. And then finally, the last one. Okay, so they're ready to be animated. Now, in my original example, I actually had some gradients in here that also created kind of a flashing effect during my animation. If you want to do that, then you can certainly do that. That would be done like this. I'm going to have the, let's see, it's going to start animating here. Then I'm going to add a new layer right above it. And in that new layer, I can fill it with a gradient. So I'm just going to think about what shape I want to do. It might make sense for me to do a radial because my face is in the shape of a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it across. And remember, you have presets here. And these also, I then went ahead and changed the blending mode on. If you leave them normal, they're going to be just as they are, just as they look right here. But when you pull different blending modes, then they're going to blend with the layers underneath. So that creates further blending, really. How else can we put it? Now I'm going to go to my next layer up, and I can change the color of my gradient as I go. I'm in my gradient tool. I'm in the right layer. I pull another gradient. And I'm going to pull maybe from the center of my face. And then the gradient will kind of be all around the outside, but you could pull it from the corner and then it would kind of radiate out from the corner. Add another layer. Change my gradient color slightly. I'm in the gradient tool, pull it from the center, and then add another empty layer. Change my color a little bit more. So my gradient slightly changes color each time if you look at what I have here. Now I can go in and change those blending modes. And then I need to do the coding inside here. So it looks like my animation is ready just to export it as a GIF, or at least to preview it that way. And so if I go to File, Export as a GIF. Now, when Photopea tells you that your animation is large and it's going to scale it at 50%, say okay. That's just because we're building a file that has a lot of layers, especially when it's an image file. So I'm going to okay that. And then it's giving me my effects. I might speed that up just a little bit. And then if you're happy with it, save it. But if you're not happy with it, then you can go in and start tweaking some of these layers. Like you can even drag them around to different positions to see what happens, and you can change some of the blending modes again. Remember, you're saving two files. You are exporting it as a GIF, and you are also saving the PSD version so you can keep all those layers and continue working at another time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and make a new file for those of you who are interested in having images, like a collection of images that animate because they're slightly different. Maybe you took these on a webcam, maybe you took these on your cell phone. Let's get a new project going. I think I already have one. Again, I'm keeping that square format. And now I am going to open a series of pictures that I took. I believe they are in my pictures folder. Camera roll. So I started with these ones, but again, I created an action to process these. So I'm going to select all of these. Control A will select all, and then open them all in Photopea. So that's a lot. They already kind of animated there. All right, so I'm going to get rid of some stuff I don't need anymore, which is this. This I already saved. I do not need it. I got my empty project, and this I already saved. I'm going to save that for later. So I need to drag all of these in here. Now you guys can work with 5, really. That's all you need. You don't really need as many as I have. I have 11 here, and I'm going to click and drag them in to the new project. So as soon as that new project tab turns blue, that should do it, and I can close that out. Let me just take a look. Nope, they're not going in there. Let's see. So if they're not going in for whatever reason, they should be. Photopea's obviously being temperamental. You can select all. So it's 3 moves basically when you want to copy and paste an image into another document. It would be select all, Control A, Control C is going to copy everything inside this selection, and then we go into the new project and Control V to paste. Now this is a little bit bigger than the square that I have, and I'm going to show you how to resize those simultaneously. I'm just going to get them all in here first. So that one's in there. Close it out. Yep, it's fine not to save it. Control A, select all. Control C to copy it. Control V to paste it. So they're starting to layer up here. Control A, Control C, go into the document, Control V. Yep. So I did this one. Just keep track of which ones you've actually added. That's the challenge. Control A, Control C, Control V to paste. Control A, Control C, Control V. And I already did that one in there. So I'm closing what I don't need. Control A, Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it. Okay. Control A, Control C, Control V to paste. Now let's see, I've already got a good 7 layers. Let's try this one. Control A, Control C, Control V. Got that one. Okay. Don't have that one. Control A, Control C, Control V to paste. So this I do not need. All right, so there's a way to actually scale these simultaneously, and that means you have to have all the layers selected. Now I'm going to select all the layers except for the background, so I can hold the Control key down and just click on all the layers that I want to transform. So that means I go to the Edit menu, Free Transform. If I need to zoom out a little bit to see the entirety of the bounding box, then I'm going to go to Control minus just to zoom out a little bit and start to center that. Now remember, I'm holding the Shift key as I resize these. Oops. So that I don't distort. And it's pretty much a square format. And then I'm going to click enter and all of those are transformed. So that took a little while to process because it was actually transforming like 8 layers. So again, we've got to do our typing in front of each layer. That's going to be holding the Shift key to get the underscore, lowercase a, underscore again. Okay, so I actually labeled all those so that they're going to code correctly and animate. And I'm going to go to File, Export as a GIF just to test it and see if it plays the way I want it to play. And there we go. So that's 9 pictures. This would still work with a smaller amount. I would suggest if you want to try this, maybe 5 is a good number to shoot from. 4, or if you're really ambitious, you can go ahead and do a lot more. Check your speed, see if you're happy with it, and save the GIF file. And also make sure that you save a PSD version as well so that you can continue to work on this. All right, that's 2 different ways to do animating of photographic images, whether you want to work with a still picture or whether you want to work with multiple pictures. Now, of course, you can go in and you can definitely play around with the blending modes there to give it a little bit of a boost, but I just left it as it was because I already did some pre-editing ahead of time. So have fun with that.